What's going on, guys? Welcome to the only football podcast on the road. Oh, man. We just heard about the news. Aaron Rodgers, torn Achilles, out for the season. Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero had reported that. I was hoping maybe for a high ankle sprain. But after hearing Robert Saleh talk in the post-game conference yesterday, it sounded like it was going to be a little more serious than that. So we wake up today, we hear the news. Unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers is done, man. Is he done for the season? Is he done playing football altogether? Would somebody as competitive as Aaron Rodgers leave football on an injury with only one Super Bowl 13 years ago? I don't know. The only concern is his age as far as being able to rehab. I worry about that a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see if he does any interview with Pat McAfee. Um, Maybe elaborates on some stuff so we can see where he's at mentally right now. But thoughts and prayers with number 12. Hopefully he's doing okay. I think if anybody has the mental fortitude and emotional intelligence to overcome something like this, Aaron Rodgers is the guy. So we had a wild week one. It was a crazy week. The 49ers were favorited to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of people, including myself, had the Steelers actually upsetting the 49ers. There at the time of the pick, there were some unknowns about Nick Bosa. There was some unknowns about Brock Purdy and how healthy that elbow was. Man, the 49ers picked up right where they left off. And I'm just going to kind of go through some teams and give you my thoughts here. Another team that I picked to upset was the Miami Dolphins over the LA Chargers. The addition of Vic Fangio was probably the biggest acquisition that the Dolphins made this offseason. Jalen Ramsey was a pretty big splash. Unfortunately, he's not going to be ready until around playoff time, which I do have the Dolphins being in the picture at that time. So that'll be a much needed boost on the defensive side of the ball. But I mean, the offense, they looked really good. And I've been telling people all offseason, there's absolutely no reason to not believe in Tua in this offense with Mike McDaniel and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They have the best weapons at their disposal in the NFL with those two wide receivers. I mean, if you just look at the numbers in the games Tua did play, he was incredible. He got in a shootout against the Ravens early. They beat the Bills early. I mean, the Mike McDaniel era last year got off to a really fast start. And it was clear that Mike McDaniel knew how to win with Tua, which is something that is really important in this league, is the offensive coach, head coach, quarterback relationship. So when I picked the Dolphins to win this game, it wasn't just because I'm a Broncos fan and I don't like the Chargers. It was because I think that this is one of two teams in the AFC that can actually end up with a top 5 offense and top 5 defense. Now, the Chargers have a really, really high-powered offense. And Justin Herbert, he's going to throw for 5,000 yards, right? So I try not to judge the defense too harshly on that week. But if this defense continues to improve, right, and the offense and Tua can stay healthy, this is a dangerous team, right? You gave up 34 points, but you were on the road and you're playing one of the best offenses in the league. No harm, no foul. You got out of there with a dub. And not only that, but this shows a lot of identity and character because it shows that the Dolphins can win close games. You give up 34 points to the Chargers, and let me put it this way. If we would have found out on Saturday night that the Chargers were going to score 34 points, how many people would have picked the Dolphins to win this game? Probably not many, okay? So the Dolphins show that they can keep up offensively. If it's going to be a high-scoring game, they can win a game like that. You need to have a team that can win in different ways. It's 16-13 going in, it's 16-13 going into the fourth quarter. Or how about this? It's 3-13 going into halftime, and you have a defense that forces 3 turnovers and just gets a little juice, right? 10 points on the board, send it to overtime, and return the punt. That's what the Jets did last night, and we could all learn something from that. It's really cool to see your offense go out there and score 36 points. It's cool to see that, but it's the NFL, and every week, every game is going to have a different and unique identity. Now, we can try to, I don't want to say guess, but predict what the identity of the game is going to be based on the strengths and weaknesses of the teams. But then there's going to be a little bit of unknown. 36 points for the Dolphins. It shows that they can win in a shootout. And with Vic Fangio on the defense, I expect this defensive unit to get stronger as the year goes on. And when this team, and mark my words, this is going to happen around week 12, the Dolphins are going to play a team with a really strong defense, and they're going to win a game 16-13. They're going to win one of those nail biters, and everybody is going to jump the Dolphins all the way up to a top 5 team in the NFL because they're going to say, this is a team that can win on offense, and this is a team that can win on defense. What we would call that is a complete football team, and there's only so many of them. All right, the Broncos, not really able to get much juice offensively, but defense holds them to 17 points, can't get the win. The Bears got Justin Fields, a lot of expectations. They're able to score 20 points, but their defense gives up 38 points, not a complete team. The Giants aren't able to score, and they gave up 40. I don't even know what to say about that game. Let's just throw that away right now. The Eagles and the Patriots. I said this was going to be a close game, and you guys know how high I am on the Eagles. I believe that the Eagles are the best team in the NFL, and last year I predicted them to go to the Super Bowl and Jalen Hurts to be an MVP. With that said, this New England team is the least talked about team because they're in a conference with the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins. So no one really likes to talk about the Patriots. Well, let's talk about the Patriots because this is a loss. They are 0-1, but to me, this shows something. All right, you lose by 5 points to the Eagles, a team that's most agree is the best team in the league, and you hold Jalen Hurts to, let me see, I think he only had maybe 200 yards passing. It was not good for the Eagles, but look, this is the NFL. Even though it's the Eagles and no one really cares about the Patriots, there's no easy wins in the NFL. If you're playing on Sunday, you have to fight week in and week out. Bill Belichick is going to be a tough opponent week in and week out. The defense, Bill Belichick wakes up and has a top 12 defense before he even gets his coffee, which is probably black. I'm drinking a pumpkin spice latte right now. So here's the stat line. And I know I'm bouncing around a little bit right now, but I'm at a Starbucks where they're like blasting the music inside, so I couldn't shoot it inside, and there's no electrical outlets outside. So sorry about the noise if you're hearing cars driving by, but we had to flex, man. We got to get a podcast out. We got to do what we got to do. All right. So here's the stat line. All right. Jalen Hurts was 22 for 33, only 170-yard passing, 1 touchdown. Okay. But Philadelphia won the game. Why? Because they have the ability to win a game like this, right? Defensively, like, you could see that this is not, right off the bat, this is not the same team, right? To say that they didn't skip a beat, that they started right where they left off. arguable, and it should take some time. They have new coordinators, they have new players, they lost a lot of talent. Now they added a lot of talent as well, and I think the Eagles will be more than okay. But this is, to me, says actually a lot about the Patriots, man, because when I was going over the bets of the week, this is a game I didn't want to touch at all. Tom Brady getting enshrined into the Ring of Fame or whatever they call it over there. The Eagles, traveling. The Bill Belichick at home in September, coaching against a young quarterback. I definitely didn't expect Jalen Hurts to have a big game. I'll tell you that much. This game went about exactly how I thought it would go, and I wouldn't have been surprised, honestly, if the scores were flipped. Right? Week 1 is very, very sloppy. When you look at week 1 and the way it went, it was not strong offensively at all. So this is to be expected for your week 1 game. Okay? There's going to be some turbulence. There's going to be some, there's no continuity. It's going to take some time for things to start rolling. So it's going to look like, especially in week 1, that defenses are reigning supreme around the league. Well, the offense will pick it up. All right. And that's why when a team starts fast offensively, that's why, to me, it's a very, very good sign for things to come. So for Miami, I expect them to even get better, man. I said that Miami will have the best offense in the league this year, and I'll stamp that again. Okay, now defensively, we'll see. They played the Chargers, who also may be in the conversation for the best offense. But besides that, man, there was a lot of lackluster offense. I'm pretty sure the under hit on most games. Just going through some of the scores here, we had 15-16. The Saints game, I didn't like this game as far as betting. I said, who's who, right? I mean, these teams, you just don't even know what to do with it. And this game kind of went how you would think. The 49ers putting up 30 points on the Steelers, who had high expectations coming in to the season, right? A double-headed I mean, this couldn't have gone more poorly for the Steelers. Not only did they have a great offseason, did they have a great draft, a great training camp, a great preseason. I mean, everything was building and building and building, and then you got this home underdog, and it's like, all right, Steel Curtain's probably going to take the 49ers. 49ers usually start slow. Forget about it. This is not the same old Niners. This is the first year that we get to see Brock Purdy start a whole season for the 49ers, knock on wood. Okay? And so far, it looks incredible. His ability to stay calm and go through reads is something else, man. This kid is special. He really is. And I know, I mean, like, people, if you had to start a football team right now, I'm telling you right now, I bet if you did a poll, 90% of people would take Justin Fields over Brock Purdy. Okay? Because he has flash, finesse. He looks cooler. He's got the visor, the sleeve. Let me ask you this, though. Give me one reason why Brock Purdy doesn't deserve to be considered right now a top 15 quarterback. I mean, if you look at his numbers, they're there. I mean, he's passing the eyeball test. He's, in a weird way, he's like barely, it almost feels like it just looks so easy out there for him. It almost just seems like he's playing on rookie mode on Madden or something like that. And we got Bill in the chat. He goes, Finn's receivers always open somewhere. It sounds good to me. Can't hear anything on my end in the background. Awesome. I'm going to be going live probably a little bit later. I got to get my laptop charged up, but I wanted to make sure we went in here. Let me see what my battery level is on right now. Definitely probably going to go live from the hotel later. Battery level is on 4%. All right. You know what? We're going to just probably do this pod until it shuts off on me. All right. So I'm going to go through and just talk about some things I want to highlight. Falcons, Bijan Robinson looks good. Okay. He looks really good. I expect him to have a monster season. And I picked Atlanta to win the NFC South. And I'm going to stand by that after week 1. Nothing to change there. The Ravens, 25-9. Okay. The Ravens didn't look great. DeMeco Ryans He's a defensive guy. I expect him to be successful, but this is a total rebuild, and this is going to take some time. I do think they got the right coach to do it, but they're probably going to be on the losing side of a lot of games this year. And for the Ravens, their their rookie wide receiver, I'm drawing a blank right now. I got him on my fantasy team. I've been raving about him all week, especially fantasy wise. Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is going to be the best. Here's my overreaction Tuesday. Zay Flowers is going to be the best rookie wide receiver in this year's class. All right, the Bengals. Only 3 points. Now, before you freak out about the Bengals, let's keep in mind that the Bengals have a history of starting off slow. The Bengals aren't a fast starting team, right? When they made the Super Bowl, I think they started like 1-3, 1-4, right? They were down like 24-0 against the Jaguars at halftime 2 years ago, and then the Bengals came back and won that game, and then something clicked and changed, right? And you thought that was a permanent change, and then 2022 happened, and they started off the season taking an L to the Steelers, and they started slow again, right? So here we go. Okay, it's his third season. He's got the new contract, right? Highest paid quarterback in the league, and it's a slow start. Yeah, it was an away game. All right. If you're, I mean, yes, it's a big deal. Every game counts. The Bengals definitely, the way that they didn't even get a touchdown, T. Higgins didn't have a single catch. Like, this is very problematic, and I don't want to just brush over it, but I do want to keep in mind that this is not out of the ordinary for the Bengals. Now, for the Browns, Deshaun Watson didn't, to me, look like he was making crazy splashes or anything like that. Um, I think for both of these teams, next week's game is going to be really important to try to understand who, who these teams really are, right? Because one game's just not enough. Too early to hit the panic button. Too early to hit the playoff button for the Browns. The Jacksonville Jaguars get the win, but the Colts were hanging around. Anthony Richardson, to me, passed. I thought he was going to be good. All you need to see is one throw that just tells you, hey, man, I belong in the league. And I saw that throw in the preseason. It was a drop, but it was a perfect throw. I think Anthony Richardson is a little more polished than we were led to believe. And I think for the Colts, this is very good news, right? Somebody that they can believe in and get behind. The Jaguars are, and I predicted the Jaguars to be the number one seed in the All right. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. Bill in the chat said his laptop must have died. He's gonna have to get one of those jumpstart batteries off Amazon to keep his stuff charged up while on the road. Talk to you later, Jinja. Well, whenever you guys do come back in, I will finish my train of thought right here. So the I was talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you guys know I picked them to win the not just the AFC South, but to be the number 1 seed. So I do think that if they're going to do that, then these are the type of games that they're going to have to win week in and week out. Okay, so this is a strong win for the Jaguars, and this is a good outing for Anthony Richardson. Now, if I may, I believe that this is the only game where both teams could walk away feeling optimistic. The Jaguars obviously handled business as they should, and I think if you're a Colts fan or you're the head coach, you're feeling good about where you're at right now with Anthony Richardson. So that was a really good game. I was really happy for Jinja to see that. Okay, the Buccaneers taking the win over the Vikings. I was actually really surprised by this. Okay, so the Vikings were a good team last year, but we all know that they had a negative point differential, and they also won 12 games. First team in history to have a negative point differential and also win 12 games. Okay, so a lot of people expected naturally there to be some regression, um, and they brought in Brian Flores for the defensive side of the ball. They drafted Jordan Addison. Alexander Madison has looked really good when he's coming in for Dalvin Cook. So I guess the real question for me was, why should this team regress? Right now, they're going to have to prove to me that they're regressing before I'm going to go in and say that, oh, they've regressed. Okay, I need to see that. Well, they lost to a Tampa Bay team in Baker Mayfield. Okay, I was actually really shocked. I did have the Minnesota Vikings winning that game. Okay, so I did. I do want to say that is a little crazy. Okay, now I want to talk about Jordan Love. Okay, the Commanders got a 4-point win over the Cardinals. Not much to really talk about there. Not a very exciting game, but the Commanders are going to win a lot of those type of games with that defense they have. And that's all I'll say about that game. For the Packers and the Bears, okay, this was a game that I think people expected the score to be reversed. I think people expected the Bears to have a really good offense this year. Justin Fields has been talked about potentially winning or running for the MVP. Okay, and the Packers score 38 points and they hold the Bears to just 20 points. Okay, Jordan Love was 15 for 27, 245 yards. He had 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Okay, Justin Fields had 24 completions versus Jordan Love's 15, but he had 37 attempts. The Packers had 27. So the Bears had 10 more passing attempts. Naturally, when you're behind, you're going to pass the ball more. But on the running side Aaron Jones had 41 yards on 9 carries. Patrick Taylor had 5 carries for 22 yards. AJ Dillon had 13 carries for 19 yards. And that was kind of interesting. Now, if you're the Bears, you got to feel pretty good about the run defense. Okay, AJ Dillon, is a very powerful 1-yard running back, right? If you need to get that hard-fought yard, Dillon's the guy to come in and do it. Okay, and he had 13 carries, and you held him to just 1.46 yards a carry. That's pretty good. You held Aaron Jones to under half of 100 yards, only 41 yards. So this was just an all-around interesting game because you look at the stat line and you see only 245 yards. All right, I'm not saying that's not a lot, but it's not like he had 300 yards. And this is a 38-point game. Okay, so 3 touchdown passes, and then on the running game, I guess all their running backs together maybe crack 100 yards if you include Jordan Love's scrambles. So 3 running backs and a quarterback, maybe they got to the 100-yard mark. Okay, so this is a team that I'm going to be looking out for. Now, I had my brother on here, and we talked about how, I believe that Jordan Love was going to be good. And I still do. I believe Jordan Love is going to surprise a lot of people and continue to do so. Okay. I just think when you have the amount of time that he had to understudy somebody like Rodgers, you're gonna see, it pay off in the end. Okay. And speaking of young quarterbacks, Jinja said, I wasn't too upset with the Colts. Just need Richardson to show some flashes. And I think that will come with time. I really do. I felt the same way about the Broncos game. It was like we didn't have one, moon ball, one deep shot. I mean, everything was just so mediocre. And it's like, if you're going to do mediocre, then we can just roll with Jared Stidham. He cost $10 million. You cost, once you're paying 45, 50, $55 million, I need special. Okay. I don't need, manageable, playable, game manager. That's not what you pay 45, 50 million. You're paying that much money and compromising the amount of weapons because your quarterback is so damn good that he doesn't even need elite weapons. He'll make average guys better. Look at what Mahomes did last year. All of the receivers all together for the Kansas City Chiefs didn't equal what Tyreek Hill made. And they won the Super Bowl. Okay? That's special. If Denver is going to have a game manager, I just don't understand why you'd pay 45, 50 million. It almost looks like he's afraid to take those shots. I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to throw an interception. I don't really know what it's stemming from, but Russ is not back, to say the least. I need to see some more from him. So, I mean, next week is going to be a tough Commanders defense, so we're going to have to wait and see how that unfolds. But what about the LA Rams beating the Seattle Seahawks 30-13 in the 12th man stadium? I mean, they were on the road, right? I've been to the Seahawks stadium. I was actually at the season opener last year. So I know that place was rocking being at a season opener. 13 points and you give up 30. I mean, this is a Rams team that last year was historically the worst team following a Super Bowl in history. And was Sean McVay going to be able to turn this team around and get it fixed? Because we know, I have some really close friends that are Rams fans, and they've told me that Sean McVay was not going to walk away from the Rams in a worse condition than he found them. Okay. So I don't want to read too much into this, but it is interesting. Okay. Only 13 points. Seattle had another amazing draft with Devin Witherspoon and JSN. JSN on IR right now for the first 4 weeks with an ankle surgery. But for the Rams, man, I'm looking at them and I'm like, man, they did that without Cooper Kupp. They did that without their best receiver. They got rid of Allen Robinson, who they had last year. So just taking a quick look at the stat line, Matthew Stafford was 24 for 38 for 334 yards. Cam Akers, only 29 yards on the ground with 22 carries. That's 1.32 yards a carry. I was really surprised to see Seattle able to defensively stop them. But what we've been hearing all offseason was that Matthew Stafford is having a really good camp. All right. And you know how sports are. What have you done for me lately? Well, Matthew Stafford had a really good camp, and he came out and he was slinging the ball, man. 334 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. They ran it 3 times on the goal line, twice with Karen Williams, once with Cam Akers. They got 3 touchdowns total. But the Rams, I mean, this is a really, really kind of takes the life out of you type of win, right? For the home opener, nobody wants to start 0-1. Everybody wants to be 1-0, right? Keep the vibes high, keep everybody happy and feeling optimistic, right? One game at a time. Well, now it really feels like every team that starts 0-1 next week has to win just to, get back to where they are, before the season starts. So you don't want to be the team that goes 0-2. The only thing worse than 0-1 is 0-2, okay? And Seattle's one of those teams that's going to have to figure out what happened, right? What went wrong. Another team that's going to have to do that is the New York Giants. This is a team that went to the playoffs last year, right? They lost at Vikings, right? The Giants won at Vikings. And then they added, Jalen Hyatt. Is it Jalen? I don't think it's Jalen. It's Hyatt. But I just don't even know what to make of this. I mean, you can't get 1 point. I mean, I said last week that the gap between Dallas and Philly was not as large as some people wanted to believe it was. It's just not. Okay. So this is to me a testament to that. Okay, Dallas's defense, they may be the best in the league. I'm just going to say it right now. You shut out a Giants team on the road. To me, that is if I had to do a defensive power ranking right now, it's like San Francisco, Dallas, okay, and they're right there. But Mike McCarthy, right? We know Kellen Moore left. He went to the Chargers, the offensive coordinator. He's been there for a while. And we saw him move laterally, right? He didn't get a head coaching job. He moved laterally. So a lot of pressure on Mike McCarthy, because if you're going to make a move like that, whether it was his decision or the front office, all right, you got to be able to at least do better. Okay. And Mike McCarthy, his last season with Aaron Rodgers wasn't that great. And we kind of, the narrative was, what does Mike McCarthy really do? Is he's just like because he's not calling plays. Yeah. Well, Mike McCarthy, I guess, can call plays. 40 points in his first game calling offensive plays. The Cowboys are riding high right now. I would say that they're probably going to be the biggest jump in the power rankings when those are released. Maybe even the Packers are going to jump a few spots. The Raiders all the teams that win are going to come up a little bit. I would say maybe the only team that got a win that may not move too much, maybe the Commanders getting a 4-point win over the Cardinals. But we're going to talk more about this later. We're going to talk about next week's games, storylines, injuries, Rick's picks, my picks. We're going to see who finished with the better record. All of that coming up here at the hotel later today. So I just wanted to come in, make a quick pit stop on the side of the road. We are outside of Amarillo, Texas right now, making our way to Jackson, Mississippi. And when we get there, I'll be sure to come up live again. We're going to continue to talk about, all this stuff going on right now, because week 1 was freaking crazy. I mean, I did not expect, I think 4 out of the 5 first games, the away team won. I mean, we had the Falcons and Ravens win at home, but let's see. The Tampa Bay won at Vikings. Jacksonville won in Indianapolis. San Francisco won in Pittsburgh. The Raiders beat the Broncos. I was there. Dolphins beat the Chargers. I was there. The Eagles beat the Patriots. I wasn't at the Dolphins Chargers game. And then the Rams beating, I mean, like literally from the Green Bay Packers game all the way down, the away team won. Okay. This was a really, really rough week for, you know, fans all across the world that went and saw this take place at home, right? You don't want to do that in your own home field. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams looking for some type of revenge next week, and I'm here for it. So I will see you guys later tonight. That's all I got for right now. Coming at you later today with another episode. We're going to be talking about what Aaron Rodgers' injury means for the Jets moving forward and all of that. Ah, oh, look at this. Come here. Come here. Look at this. She just got a turtle. I think it's a snapping turtle. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. See you guys later. See you.